Good morning and welcome. Today is Thursday, the 10th day of Sivan, and today we begin chapter 3 in the second part of the Tanya, Shaar, Yichud, vEmuna, the gate of unity and faith. And in this chapter, the Alter Rebbe really introduces a new understanding in what it means, the oneness of God. Even more than what we said in the last two chapters. The last two chapters, the Alter Rebbe explained basically that the creation of Hashem is a continuous one. It's not that God created the world and then took a step back, but Hashem really is recreating a mechadesh betuvay. God constantly needs to recreate us. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. Unlike an artist that creates an art, being that is just putting things together that exist already. So he doesn't need to be there after he created the art. But Hashem creating the world, Hashem constantly needs to recreate us, or else we go back like before we were created. So this is still, we can understand this, we can comprehend this in a way. Here in chapter 3, the Alter Rebbe goes to the next level, saying that not only does Hashem recreate us constantly, but really our existence is not a real existence. And when we are within the essence, the source, which is Hashem, we are just not existing. Hashem exists. So, like I said, it's a concept which is deep and hard to understand at first glance. Just to use a metaphor, when I'm explaining the first part, what it means that we need to be recreated constantly. So you can use the metaphor of a projector projecting a picture on a screen. I know I was in Jerusalem. Sometimes they made exhibitions. Back in the days, they used to make fancy exhibitions when it came to the Yom Yerushalayim, the day they conquered Jerusalem, and the wall. And it was a lot of work put in. But lately, in the last few years, when I came to visit once, I see they have on the wall, they have projections, a projection of pictures and all kinds of realities that seems to look like real, but it's a projection, it's not real. As soon as you turn the light of the projector off, everything is gone. So is the projection, the picture that you see on the screen, is it real? You can say, is it an illusion? I mean, you see, it looks real. And you know what? But as soon as you turn off the light, it's gone, it's not there. That means it was never real, it was never there. But that image itself, there is an image, and that image takes place on a screen. So there's a certain space that this image takes place. And that gives us an understanding, just like Hashem constantly needs to actively create us in order for us to exist. But the next step that Alter Rebbe takes is that even that image that we see, we perceive, is only because this is the only thing that we can perceive. But when we're able to see the source, the life, the energy that comes from Hashem, if we're able to see it, then we would see Hashem, God, constantly creating us. You see the story, the Alter Rebbe, before he passed away, he told his grandson, the Tzemach Tzedek, says, look at the ceiling, says the beam. He says, I don't see a beam. I see the godliness that sustains the beam, that animates the beam. gives life to the being. So is this something that we all can achieve? Maybe not. Maybe a little bit. But this is a mitzvah in the Torah. A mitzvah in the Torah is that we should work on trying to achieve, as the Alter Rebbe says in the beginning of this Shaar, Yichud, vEmuna, the beginning of this second part of Tanya. That mitzvah, the Torah says, "V'yedata hayom v'hashivoyse elovecha." You should know today and take it to your heart. Ki Hashem Elokim, and that is God. Hashemayim mimal, and heaven above, v'la'aretz mitochas, and the earth below. Eino, there's nothing else. This is a very deep concept that Chassidus introduced. That we should. I mean, this is in the Torah itself, but Chassidus revealed and shed light on it. Put the spotlight on this. But this is something that we should work on ourselves on a daily basis. To realize that everything is from Hashem. And how does it help us in serving Hashem? Very simple. Because when you go on in your day and you see there's challenges for you to do the right thing. You know, Hashem wants you to do something. The Torah says you should do something. And it is a challenge. It's difficult. You see, it's hard to make a living and to be honest the way the Torah demands of you is not always easy. Sometimes if you're straight, they say nice guys finish last. Is it Shabbos? Is it kosher? All those things as challenges in living your life. But when you think about the fact that everything is from Hashem, the world is right now being created by God. The challenge is being recreated by God. Everything is being right now recreated by Hashem. And the same God tells you in the Torah, He gives you the instructions to do this. So therefore, the world cannot be a contradiction in living your life according to Torah. This is the deep message that we take from here. Let's see inside chapter 3 in Shaar, Yichud, vEmuna. Says the Alter Rebbe, "V'hinei, achrei ha'devorim v'emes ha'ele," now following these words of truth concerning the nature of creation, namely, that the activating force must continually be vested in created beings and create him ex nihilo, something from nothing. Kol maskil al davar yavin la'ashuroi, every discerning person will understand clearly ech shekol nivra v'yesh u'be'emes nechshav la'ayin ve'efes mamash, that every creature and being, even though it appears to have an existence of its own, is in reality considered to be absolute naught and nothingness. Compared to what? Compared to the Creator. In relation to the activating force which creates it, and the breath of His mouth, which is within it, continuously calling it, which continuously calling it into existence and bringing it from absolute non-being into being. So we are non-being. And Hashem brings us constantly, continually into being. But says the Alter Rebbe, but we don't see that. We see ourselves, and whatever we see, whatever we perceive, we see like real. Says the Alter Rebbe, because we don't have the right eyes. The reason that all things created and activated appear to us as existing and tangible, says the Alter Rebbe, Zeu machmas she'einu masigim v'roim be'inei basar es koyach Hashem v'ruach piv shebanivra. Says this is because we do not comprehend nor see with our physical eyes the power of God and the breath of his mouth, which is in the created thing. I spoke yesterday, the day before, about the creation of the world that comes through the breath of his mouth, through the words, the letters of the Hebrew alphabet, and so on. We don't see this. Aval but ilu nitna reshus lo ein lirois ulehasig es achayus veruchnius shebechol nivra. If, however, the eye were permitted to see and to comprehend the life force and the spirituality which is in every created thing, which comes from Hashem, that is flowing into it from that which proceeds from the mouth of God and his breath. If we would be able to see this, then the physicality, materiality, and the tangibility of the creature would not be seen by our eyes at all. Because the physicality, is completely nullified in relation to the life force and spirituality which is within it. Since without the spirituality within it, it would be not an absolute nothingness. Exactly as before the 6 days of creation. The spirituality that flows into it from that which proceeds from the mouth of God and his breath, that alone continuously brings it forth from naught and nullity into being. And this spirituality gives it existence. So therefore, in Cain, what is the conclusion? What's the bottom line? What's the total? Bottom line is, Efes below the be'emes. There's nothing existed. Hence, there is truly nothing besides him. In any created being apart from the divinity, the only true reality that brings it into existence. The created being does not constitute a true reality, inasmuch as it is wholly dependent for its existence on the continuous flow of divine life force. Indeed, its existence verily consists of that activating force. Wow, this is an amazing concept. But this is something that we need to instill in ourselves. He said there was a chassid of the Alter Rebbe, Rabbi Yomin Kletzker. Kletzker comes from the word klotz. You know what a klotz is? A klotz, they use it in a derogatory name, a klotz. But it comes from the word in Yiddish. A klotz is a log, a piece of wood. So if someone is a brain like a piece of wood, call him a klotz. But a klotz means a piece of wood. He's called Kletzker because he was dealing with lumber. And he was a chassid. He was learning the teachings of Chassidus, which the basic teachings is also this concept of nothing else exists. Hashem is everything. So he goes out to the forest and marking the trees, whatever he's buying, and writing down everything. And he looks on the paper and says, at the bottom it says, Sach Hakol. Sach Hakol meaning, what's the total? In Hebrew, Sach Hakol also means, what is the bottom line? What is the bottom line of everything? And when he sees these words, it came to him the thoughts. He went into a meditative state of thinking of what's the bottom line? What is the bottom line? Bottom line? Bottom line is we're nothing. Hashem is here. The existence of God. So he wrote on the paper, bottom line, Ein od milvado, there's nothing else but Hashem. Partner didn't understand what he's writing, asking what is the bottom line? So does it mean that we don't exist? Yes, we exist, we're here. Hashem makes us existing. There's a world. There's things that Hashem wants us to deal with on a daily basis and according to Torah. See, this chassid once decided to be a smart aleck. He borrowed money from a friend, and when a friend came to ask for the money back, he tells him, what money? Hey, not milvado, there's nothing else. There's only Hashem. There's no me, there's no you, there's no money, there's no nothing. So he didn't know what to do. The other chassid goes to the rabbi and says, look what he tells me, he doesn't want to give me back the money. The rabbi says, no problem, call him in. He calls him in and they says, no, there's nothing else, only Hashem. The rabbi says, no problem. Take this nothing, pointing to the borrower, put him on this nothing, pointing to the table, put him on the table, and take this nothing, the whip, and shmeiss him and see where is the nothing, what the nothing says. So, Ein od milvado, nothing but Hashem, but yes, we are here. Hashem wants us to be here. Hashem makes us. But this is what we put into our mind, our thoughts, that is nothing else but Hashem, meaning that the world cannot contradict us. This is, by the way, there was the very first sikha in the Likutei Sichos. Likutei Sichos is the set of volumes of the Rebbe's teachings on all aspects of Torah that the Rebbe edited. The very first one talks about the first parsha in the Torah, Bereshis, in the beginning. And there's a saying that in Parshas Bereshis, the way we set ourselves up on that portion and that day and that Shabbos, that's the way the whole year will go. And the Rebbe asks, why? What's so special about this portion? I understand maybe Rosh Hashanah, the way we begin in Rosh Hashanah, the whole year will go. Why is special? What is so special about the portion of Bereshis? And the Rebbe explains. This what the Rebbe explains in this chapter. That Bereshis bara Elokim et hashamayim et haaretz. In the beginning, Hashem created the heaven and earth. And when we put this to our thoughts, we begin the year like this, understanding that everything is created by Hashem, which means that everything is constantly, continually created by Hashem. If you set yourself up on that way, the whole year will go good. The whole year will follow. You'll be able to serve Hashem properly. And the challenges and the interactions, whatever that you come, keep this constantly in mind, that Hashem is everything. This is the end of today's shir. Please share this and don't forget to subscribe, share with others, invite people to come live every day, 9:15 in the morning on Zoom. And we'll see you tomorrow, Bezrat Hashem.